trying to find that I'm definitely live. I'm just trying to find the feed, wherever it might be. Ah, there it is. Definitely there then. Hi Sharon. Now if you can hear some funny noises in the background, that'll be my cat. Because I've shut the door because the washing machine's on and it's making a heck of a racket, and the cat doesn't like being locked in. So it's either the washing machine or the cat. So how is everybody? Got my dirty fingers. You can tell what I've been doing. So you can see what's on my desk here. We're going to play with this die here. We're going to do some stamping. I've actually got a couple of makes kind of on the go, I think, with ideas in my head. Whether it'll actually work or not, I don't know. Yeah, cats don't like... I think he's probably gone under the bed again now. Yeah, I think he's gone under the bed. We'll be all right. We might hear him snore, but we won't be bothered with him if he's under the bed. Aren't they funny? Shall we make a start? I think we will, because I don't know how long people take to join in this group. And of course it will be on my YouTube channel later on. So you can always watch back, and you'll always be able to watch back from the video section in the group as well. Morning, Chrissy. Right, so let's crack on. So I rather like this new paper cuts die called Countryside Pals from Creative Expressions, and they are quite often what you see in the tin. You don't need to do a lot with them because you've got a lovely scene which will cut into your card, and you just pop whatever background you want behind it. You can do a bit of paper piecing with the main if you want to, but and the face, but it's too much effort as far as I'm concerned. Obviously you've got little flowers, and he's in a meadow, and he's meeting this hare here. But obviously it's optional as to whether you use the hare or not. And I've decided to cut mine into one of the stitched torn rectangles from Sentimentally Yours. It'll be all right, Sharon. We'll just crack on. So I've already gone ahead and cut, and this is the die cut out, the main die. It's very, very intricate. Now I pop my die into the stitched torn rectangle, and I think it's the largest but one. Is it large? Yeah, largest but one. And you've got this lovely stitched torn detail on the edge. Now I did it at the same time, and to be honest, because this is the Sentimental Yours Super Smooth watercolour card, it's very, very thick. I think it's 350 GSM, so it did take quite a few runs through. And what you want to do is remove your stitched torn rectangle, because otherwise if it slips it's going to look a mess, so you don't want to do that. But as a consequence, as you keep on going through your machine, it does actually flatten out some of the actual stitch detail a little bit, but that's okay because we're going to do a bit of stamping over the top, so I'm not too fussed about that. But obviously if I'd have cut it out of a lower GSM, some of the premium cardstocks, the 270, then I wouldn't have needed to go through as many times. But it's like swings and roundabouts. I like the way the ink moves on the Super Smooth, so that's why I used it. No, it won't let you share, Carol, because this is a private group. That's why. Right, so what are we doing? Yes, okay. So if you wanted to, pure and simple, all you need to do is you've got the little hair, and I've cut him out of a corresponding colour. So you could, and I'll tell you where this is from in a minute, you could pop that on a background, matte and layer it, and pop it on a card, pop a sentiment on, job's your uncle. Not messy, very, very quick, easy to do. But obviously I want to add a little bit to it, otherwise it would be a pretty boring demo. So we're not going to use Mr. Hare, we're going to use some of the Fairy Hug stamps. Now this background is actually, I mean, obviously you can make your own backgrounds, lots of inky backgrounds will look absolutely wonderful. But I have used, this one's called Thunderglow, find it, from Fairy Hugs. There are 3 paper pads at the moment, and this is the Thunderglow. There's the carrier sheet from that. So it's lots of kind of alcohol ink type of backgrounds. In this group, I don't know, Carol, I've no idea. So yeah, it's lots of alcohol ink type backgrounds, which are, you know, they're great if you want a quick card. Like I say, you can make your own backgrounds if you want to, but that's where it's from. It's from a Fairy Hugs Thunderglow paper pad, so you know where it is. Such a mess, such a mess, such a mess. So we're going to use that in the background anyway, but we're going to dress up this area here with a bit of stamping. Let's move some of this rubbish out of the way. So I'm thinking in my mind, that we want to have, there's loads of different animals and things, but you know, Ed the cat is my favourite, and this cat is actually named after Ed, although Ed isn't black. So I think Ed is going to be kind of saying hello to his mate, the horsey. We can use some foliage. We've got forest flowers and I've got woodland flowers, so we can use that to build up all the kind of area around here. I mean, we could have bought in one of the foxes. One of the foxes would have looked fab. In fact, we can still bring in one, perhaps, coming in here if we wanted to, because he could be looking up. I don't know. I might change my mind. I'm not sure. We're just going to go with the flow and see what happens. I've got a friendship sentiment here, which we're going to bring in up here. And we're going to build up all the foliage, and we're going to add some mushrooms and stuff like that. So let's make a start. I think, what should we do first? Let's actually give them a bit of grounding first, I think, because otherwise they're going to be floating in midair. You see, I have thought this through, but, you know, change my mind constantly. So just a piece of torn watercolour card, and this will give me my base. And I'm thinking that the cat is going to be a little bit higher, so we'll perhaps have it that way around. And let's bring in some, I don't want it too dark. Oops. Oh, my desk, I've got so much stuff out. Let's bring in a bit of peel paint. Yeah, so this one. There might be a bit of rustic wilderness on my brush. I do like, these are the Studio Light brushes. I do like these because they're coloured. I don't have to think about washing them and what colour did I have on last. I like that. I like not the washing kind of thing. So a bit of peel paint just to ground it. So he's got something to stand on. Easy peasy. Not difficult, not rocket science. Right, so let's pop this in my stamping platform, and I'm using the Press to Impress and 97 million magnets because I like a lot of magnets. I don't like it to go anywhere. Right, stay there, horsey. And we're bringing Ed the cat. There's obviously a mark on my plate there. I've got a little mark there, which is going to bug me. So Ed's coming in here. Make sure his bottom's touching the ground. Over a bit. There we go. That's where he's going to go. And then we might as well bring in the sentiment and stamp the sentiment at the same time. Might be a humongous mistake, but we'll see. So this one says, a friend is, hang on, let's take it off because it's a bit skewy. A friend is someone who knows the song in your heart and can sing it back to you when you've forgotten the words. Oh, so cute. I love fairy hug sentiments. They didn't do sentiments when they first started, so it's a real good plus that they have done now. Let's see if that's straight. Let's not try not to lose part of it. That is the problem with me trying to squeeze it in. Let's go with that. Let's go with that. And I'm just going to do it in black. We'll add a bit of colour to some of the stamps in a moment. And so whenever you're using a silhouette stamp, it's good to have a juicy ink pad. So we're using Nocturne Versafine Clair. I mean, obviously I use Versafine Clair a lot. I use the black a lot. So you want to either regularly re-ink them. You can get re-inkers, although they are quite scarce. Do be careful that you're not ripped off by overcharging on those. Or you can just buy a new ink pad, obviously. I tend to have a new ink pad for, you know, when it needs one, and then I keep all the old ones because I either re-ink them or they're great for your background where you don't need a focal point, so they don't need thrown away. And we're going to let that release a bit so it doesn't move. I think we're good. Oh, look at that. Doesn't need doing a second time, that. Perfect. Hi, Sarah. This is the extent of my cleaning up of my stamps, just so I don't get too mucky. So that's our friendship and our Ed the cat. We'll put those away in a moment. And let's add some foliage around there. I don't want to overdo it, but with the kind of embellishments, but the detail on that's tremendous. So, but we'll add some, let's add some mushrooms first, I think, down the bottom. Put those back up there. And we've got a few mushrooms that I've pulled out. Fairy Hugs had a collection called The Mini World, which was out a couple of months ago. And there's a couple of different mushrooms that we can use in here. Is that a dirty mark? Oh, flip. Right, we'll deal with that when we put foliage around. Dirty marks. The bane of my life. I haven't used this one before, which is how rude. This one's called Woodland Mushrooms. So we can just pop those down there like so. I'm not worried if they go over my die cut. That's absolutely fine. Might need to do these a couple of times because this is a brand new stamp. So let's change colour a bit and let's perhaps go for one of the browns. So we go for Acorn. Tap, 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 tap. Again, this is a Versafine Clair. Give it a good old press. So this one's probably a little bit sticky. Let's see how we go. It's pretty good, that. Now obviously, because we've got an over the line of the stitched torn rectangles here, we've got a bit of stitch detail showing through that. I'm not worried about that because I am going to go around the edges with an ink pad, so that's absolutely fine. We've got a bit of an indentation going here where we've got the hooves. I'm not too worried about that either. So we're just going to go with that. That's absolutely fine. I'll live with that. So just the once. And I would add a little bit of colour there. I'd bring in my my Sentimental Yours watercolour blending brush pens and add some extra colour. We've also got, there's also this one here, which I'm not going to use, which is the ruffled mushrooms, which is a really nice one as well. We've also got the tiny mushrooms, which are the same, but they're different sizes. 2 stamps. So we could bring some of those perhaps in down here, just to extend the mushroom village. And we do those in brown as well, in the acorn. There's my different mushrooms. That's fine. That's my mushroom village. That's as much mushrooms as I need. Because obviously we've not got a lot of space here to do loads of stamping, and we don't want to stamp so much that we don't give, you know, we lose the detail of the beautiful horse there. Okay. So now let's add some foliage. I might come back in again and I might add, I don't know, a dragonfly or something, but we'll see. Let's go off of the platform and see if I've got a bit of copy paper, just so I don't make a mess, and more mess that is. Right, so foliage. I think I'm just going to go for my favourite. This particular stamp here is my absolute favourite. So useful. I have used the others as well, but that one I just love. This is Forest Flowers. It's losing its stick. It needs a wash. If your stamps lose their stick, just give them a wash. Doesn't have to be soapy water, just normal water from the tap is absolutely fine. This block might be a bit too small. Yeah, let's get a bigger one. Where's my box? Come on, where are you blocks? There you are. This is one of the new indigo blue Thin Lizzies, which are great for, you know, I've only got little hands. I've got dirty hands, but I've only got little hands, so for me it's ideal. So let's go for a couple of different greens. And let's bring in, we want Shady Lane first. They are, yeah. Butterfly is a crafter's friend, isn't it? I don't know where that dirty mark came from, to be honest. So let's just add over the edge some of this wonderful foliage. I'm going to leave some gaps because I'm going to bring in some different colours. And let's get that bit there. Got it. It's gone. So let's swap that now and we bring in a darker colour. That's Shady Lane. And then we've got Rainforest, which is a bit darker. Hello, Lottie. So again, we're going to do the same thing, just around the edges. You might not see the difference. I can see the difference, but you might not see the difference. Very quick to do. Oh, I missed a bit there, look. That fits in nicely, doesn't it? Oh, let's go for another one up there. Step away from the ink pad, Julia. Happy with that. It's a nice little scene, isn't it? So I am going to bring in a dragonfly, I've decided. Because I want a dragonfly. Clean that stamp. So we do have a set called Mini Dragonflies. So these are all existing stamps from Fairy Hugs. The new collection comes out next weekend. And I'm not showing you those yet. Bit of a tease, I know. So we've got mini dragonflies, there's mini fireflies, there's all sorts of minis. So we could have, oh, clean that before I get ink off of it onto my work. We could have a little dragonfly coming in up there, perhaps, or one coming in up there. We could have two coming in. Let's have two. Do I want to do it in the platform or do I want to stamp it? That's the difficult decision. Let's just stamp it and let's get into trouble because I've not done it properly. What colour should we do the dragonfly? Should we do it in blue? Let's do it in blue and then it might kind of tie in with the background. So I'm looking at Bluebell now. I mean, obviously I've used lots of different colours of Versafine Clear. I do really like Versafine Clear. Oh. Look at me, I'm so messy, so messy. This is why I get ink everywhere. The good thing about Versafine Clear is that it's so juicy that it can wait for you to clean up and stuff. But you do have to be careful that you don't smudge it. So we're going to have a dragonfly coming in here. It's only a little stamp, so you don't need to press very hard. And then we'll have another one coming in from the bottom. The cat, Ed the cat. There's another one called Nala as well, who's walking along. And there's also a set of mini cats as well, which is a set of 4 cats. So, yeah, I do love the cats. I've actually got, because I'm having a bit of clear out at the moment, and I've actually got a whole box of cat stamps, which I will never, ever get rid of, ever. Because I love them. It's a win-win situation. I even buy them and don't use them. Okay, so I'm going to step away from the stamping now. Not going to do any more stamping, so otherwise I'll overdo it, which is always a temptation. Right, let's move some of these stamps out of the way and I'll put them away in a bit. Right, okay, so all I do now is edge a little bit. So I think we will go for a green. So this is where I'm going to bring in my oxides as opposed to my distress ink. Because I like stamping on distress ink, but I like edging with oxide. And this is Lucky Clover, just happens to be on my desk. And it'll kind of really show off the lines of the stitched torn rectangles. You could add a little bit of glitter to the dragonfly's wings if you wanted to. You could stamp them separately on that, you know, that fantasy film stuff that we all used to rave about years ago, which probably will have a comeback at some point. And then you could cut the wings out and pop them on top. You could use glossy accents, lots of things that you could do to add to the wings. And then I will colour in the mushrooms afterwards. I'm not going to make you watch me do that though. Unless you want me to. But I'm not going to. Right, now we need to get this on here. So it comes together when you've got your background on. I'm quite pleased with that. It's literally doing all brands together. Because we do, don't we? You don't have to be precious at just doing your one brand. Obviously, as a design team member, sometimes we can only use the brand that we're representing. But at home, you mix your brands, don't you? Which is why this group's so fab, really. So this is always a bit dodgy trying to get these bits on, but there is, see, I'm not being too precious about it because we can blot off the excess glue so it doesn't all smudge out. Of course, spray glue, you could use that. I don't like spray glue myself. You can use them fine tip glue applicator things as well. They're good. Don't blot it off too long because otherwise it'll stick. And we'll pop that over there like so. It's very nice on the other side, isn't it? The thing with this paper pad is that there's 24 designs, and they're double-sided, so you get 12 sheets, but then you get 2 sheets as well, so you can use both patterns if you want to. And of course, if you wanted to do that, you know that technique where you kind of roll down the edges. If you wanted to do that, you can do, and you've got something on the other side. That's the benefit, isn't it, of having double-sided. The drawback is you don't want to glue a side down, and the benefit is that you can curl it if you want to. Just a little border of black makes it pop. It does look like alcohol ink. It's meant to look like alcohol ink, Sharon. And they were originally alcohol ink backgrounds, but they've just been digitally copied onto paper. The other two background pads from Very Hugs were original backgrounds as well, and then they've been digitally copied onto paper. So this is a proper card. It opens and everything. So that's going to go onto a proper card. Obviously be careful I don't smudge everything, because I do that. I'm definitely a smudge fiend. So there we go. So I'll add a little bit of colour to that, but not much. It works, doesn't it? Brands working together. I like it. So that's number 1. And I will photograph it later and pop it into groups so you can see it. So for number 2, I thought we'd do a journal page. So we've got, let's move some of these ink pads out of the way. 97 million ink pads out now. What do I need? I need that. Okay. So again, we've got a piece of the Super Smooth card from Sentimentally Yours. And I'm going to use the Big Background Journal stamp from Sentimentally Yours. Just need to find myself an A4 block. There it is. A5 block rather, not A4 block. Thank you. Reading your comments. Okay, this is my absolute favourite big background stamps. There's quite a few background stamps from Sentimentally Yours in the Big Background Journal page collection. I think there's about 10 now. There's a couple of Christmas ones. There's music. There's a blank ledger page. This one, which obviously is a blank canvas, if you like, although it's obviously got lines and splats and things, but it kind of gets you started, and it's got the kind of perforations here down the edge as if it was torn out of a book. It's got this fingerprint on here as well. It's just a really useful stamp, I think, as a base, because, you know, sometimes when you start a project, if you've given a piece of paper like that, it's what else am I going to do with it? But if you actually start with something like this is your starting block, and it can kind of set you off and get you going, you know, be a prompt if you like. So we're just going to stamp that, and again we're going to use Nocturne VersaFine Clear. I do prefer to stamp the big journal pages on with my acrylic block, my A5 acrylic block, rather than using the stamping platform. The reason why is because the journal pages are a little bit grungy, so it really doesn't matter if they're not stamped properly. And if you go into your stamping platform, I think you're a little bit complacent, because you think, oh, if it doesn't stamp properly, then I can always stamp it again. But you find yourself sometimes stamping 2 or 3 times, and if it moves ever so slightly, then it's ruined, isn't it? So I do prefer the A5 block. Obviously I'm inking it within an inch of its life, because that's what I do, and that's probably why my ink pads dry out so quickly. But anyway, I think that's enough. So let's see, let's pop this on here. This is just an A5 piece of card. The stamp is a little bit smaller. Where did that dirty mark come from, I wonder? 2 sides to a piece of card. That's probably when I picked it up. Good old press. So work your way around the stamp, just so you hit all those areas. Give it a little bit more pressure. Rattle, rattle, rattle. And then, if you're very careful, you can pick it up, and that ink will still be grabbing hold of the paper, and you can just give it an extra rub at the back. Now, do be careful with this, because if you move it, you know, it's no good. So if you're careful, you're fine. And then just lift off, and there's our journal page. There's your canvas to work on. Lady Jasper. So now what I've done, I've already cut one out as a journal page, but now we're going to kind of add colour to this. So we're going to do it in slightly different order, and then I'm going to work on the one that's dry. So obviously, because I'm going to spray, I'm going to bring my towel in, because I don't want my spray to go everywhere. Look at my mucky towel. And I'm going to use some indigo blue vivids. So these are highly pigmented inks, and they are, I don't know if you can just about see there that the tube kind of just stops right at the top. So they're kind of an airless mister, is it called an airless mister? I think it is. It hasn't got a tube that goes to the bottom anyway. So it's all the vacuum. So you can see that the inks move as the ink gets used. The vacuum moves up until eventually, when it's empty, the vacuum's at the top, and you can empty it, flush it all out, and then you can refill it, and you can get the refills. And the refills on their own are a wonderful thing to have, because you can put the ink into water brushes, as I've got here, and I've also added some of the Radiant Lustre powder to it, so this one's got a bit of a shimmer to it. Obviously you can get shimmer vivids as well, but if you want to just make your own, you absolutely can. So we're going to use Will Scarlet, which is the red, and you can see I've nearly used all of my Loxley yellow, which is my favourite, because I went on a retreat recently with indigo blue, and we got these 3. This is Little John's a blue, and you can see that the yellow is going to mix with the blue and make a beautiful green, or with the red and make a lovely orange, and then you've got the yellow on its own. So the yellow is the one that we all use the most. So you don't need to shake them or anything, because they are just inks. So we're just going to add a little bit of the red, or a lot of the red. They're so vibrant. And then when you've used them, you dip it in water. I don't know if Lou or Lynette or Charmaine are watching, but I'll just say there's a big gold star just appeared on the floor in my craft room. I don't know where it's come from. They'll know what I'm talking about. And then we've got Loxley yellow, which is obviously yellow. And we're going to add some of that too. Lovely and vibrant. And again, I'm going to dip it in water upside down, and then you just dry the nozzle. And it's Kay from Indigo Blue recommends that you do that all the time, and then it won't get all blocked up. So hopefully you can see how vibrant those colours are. Where also, because this ink is water reactive, it does mean that, say where we've got this area here where it's kind of lovely and fine, if you just take water, you can reactivate that, and that then spreads out and looks like the rest. See, it's magic, absolutely magic. So I'm going to put that one to the side, and I'm going to pick out the one that I've already got. Let's hope I don't drip all over the carpet, else I'll be in trouble. This is the one I've already got. So just showing you like what we did before. So this is all dry, but if I miss there, I'm reactivating that and making that spread out. And you don't need to use extra product to fill in the gap. You can just use your water, which is really cool. Pouring with rain here. Pouring. Okay, let's just give that a blast so it dries. Oh, that's my fan. It's the wrong plug. Turn that off. Where's my other plug? It is. I'm trying to get into the habit of unplugging my heat tool at night, but I don't always remember. Lovely and vibrant, isn't it? Lovely and vibrant. So what I did was I actually have cut out a journal page. You can see I've got shabby edges, I've got some holes in here, and what I've used to do that is this Studio Lights die, the planner pages die. So this is CD05 because they don't have names, but you can see you've got different edges. So there's 4 different edges. Then you've got your actual die to cut your holes, and you've also got some reinforcers. And there's several different sets that you can get from Studio Light, and you can actually get full page ones as well, which have this all joined at the top and then just a different shape edge. So I really like those. One of my favourites. Right, so we're nearly dry there. So I thought what we'd also do is bring in, hello, my cat, bring in some stencil work. I've got a few stencils here. I don't want to, see if I blob that, I'll show you, if I blob this off, then it'll lift it up. And we've got a bit of a blobby bit. I quite like that. Just something different. See how that's bleached that out there? So we will do some kind of bleaching out kind of techniques with it. So let's take, this is the Roses stencil from Sentimentally Yours. And I've bent that a little bit, that's better. So we can actually pop this on here and we can mist with water in certain areas. Give it a good old misting. And you do want a good old mist, and you want to lift it up. I might have overdone it. Let it settle in for a bit. I'm going to leave that water on there for a minute. And what the water does is it will bleach it out, just like if you were using bleach, if you like. Because it's water reactive, it'll bleach it out. So the longer you leave it, the better, but we haven't got loads of time to wait. So I'll just blob that off. I don't know if you can see, there is something going in the background. Can you see here? And what it does is it it kind of continues to work as the paper dries or the card dries. It continues to work, and you can go the opposite way as well. So we can pop it on here, give it a press, and it will do a negative of it as well. It's probably not coming across too well. You see the shape of the rose there. I've got it on here. It's so pigmented, this, but it's just going to give you some texture in the background, just a bit more interest than what you had before. And of course we could take that print there and actually add some extra ink up here if we wanted to. Leave that to dry a minute. We can also take some gesso. Where's my other stencil? This is a new stencil from Indigo Blue. I think it's called something like Book Ledger Page or something like that. I ought to know what it's called really, but I don't. So thinking about what I'm going to add on here, I'm thinking I'm going to go here and I've got some, I can't find my Indigo Blue gesso somewhere, but I'll use my Sentimentally Yours gesso instead. Just white gesso, whichever brand you've got. And a little bit of cut and dry foam. See, I have washed this cut and dry foam, but it stains, which is fine. It'll still work. So just some white gesso onto my cut and dry foam. Might need some more, we'll see. And what you'll find is that the gesso will pick up some of the colour. So rather than it being white, it's a kind of a yellowy colour because it's picking up the colour from the vivids as well. It's a beautiful stencil, this one. Absolutely love it. I'm going to do another corner as well. Can you see it's quite yellow on the stencil? Let's add a bit more gesso. Remember, if you're using gesso on your foam, unless you want to throw your foam away, you do need to just wash your foam. Popping it in some water and then cleaning it afterwards is absolutely fine. Let's have one up here as well. I know twos aren't really what we should be doing, but there are no rules in journaling, in any art really. You just do what you want to do, whatever makes you happy. And I really like this stencil, it makes me happy. So I want 2 of them on my journal page. Right. If I can get my stencil in the water. I'm going to just mist that with some water because I don't want my gesso to dry on my stencil. Ooh. I was very impressed with the Vivid, Sarah. Very impressed with them. I mean, obviously over the years, probably like yourself, you've used loads and loads of sprays. But I was just so impressed with the intensity of them and how they're so, they're water reactive, and not to mention the fact that they don't have a tube going right down to the bottom that bungs up, which is just wonderful really. Okay, so that's our background going on like that. We can also kind of stamp with them as well. So this is where our oh, Julia, get your words out. This is where the refills are useful. So I don't really want to bring in a different colour, I don't think. So let's just see if the red's going to show up enough, because I've got quite a lot of red going on in the background here. So just again a piece of cut and dry foam, and I'm going to put some of the ink onto it. This is your Will Scarlet, and there's another Dewberry. There it is. Let's press that into there. Now, so here we're making ourselves an ink pad, okay? So you can pop this in a poly bag and it will stay wet for quite a long time. And you can keep on reusing it, or if it dries out you can just mist it with water and it will reactivate it. So we're making ourselves an ink pad. So bringing in one of the collector's editions, this is Grunge Numbers from Indigo Blue. We can add our ink in inverted commas to the stamp. And it doesn't, because it is a dye ink, it won't cling to the stamp like you might want it to. So it's going to be a bit of a grungy image, if you like. So we can add that up here. But you can still see it, and because the card underneath is still a little bit wet, it is actually reacting a little bit to the wet underneath. My roses are starting to really come out now, and again they're not defined from the stencil, but it's just more texture in the background. And so let's just, while we've got this on the ink pad, we can just, let's just add another one. Let's have one over here. Try and get your numbers up the right way. So it's just over the top. And let's actually do 3. Now I want to leave this area here blank because we do something else down here. Let's put it there. So I've gone for my 3s. Again, you can't see very much, but it is there underneath, on top of that. Right, so that's my numbers. Put that in there. So what you can also do is you can actually, where's another? I've got another stamp somewhere. This is another one of the dinkies. This is the Curly Swirly from Indigo Blue. Because remember, this is reactive with water. We can actually mist our stamp with water. I never know whether it's covered because you can't see water, can you? And we can stamp with the water. Now the water will do the same thing as if you were using your stencil. So when we misted through the stencil, if I hold that up, can you just see the water there? Now obviously we need to wait for that to react, and it should bleach out, and you'll get a very slight impression of that stamp in there. It's a little bit more obvious when you've got a darker colour. I mean, it is dark obviously, but because we've got quite a lot going on in the background, we might not notice it very much, but it is definitely something that you can do. I'm only going to do that once in the back. So something else you can do is we can actually add gesso to our ink pad. So let me just grab a paint mat. Where's my gesso? Put it somewhere. There it is, right in front of me. Yeah, we're playing with Indigo Blue Vivids at the moment. Let's put a bit of gesso on there. And should we bring in another colour? Do I want to bring in another colour? I don't know. Do you want to bring in another colour? Let's do it. I don't know why, but let's do it. So let's bring in just a tiny bit of the Little John Vivid. It's from the refill. This is why the refills are brilliant, because you can just control how much you use. And of course you can, like I said, you can add them to your water brushes, and you know, do your washes and things like that with them. You can just pop a little bit in the palette and paint with them. There's so much that you can do with the refills rather than just refill. Now that was just 2 little drops, tiny little drops with some white gesso, and we've got this vibrant blue. Obviously it's not, it is a lighter blue than the Vivid itself, because we've got the white of the gesso. That's going to go in there. So we can take another one of the dinkies. Do I have to stop at 12 o'clock? I'm not sure if I do. So we're dipping out, this is the Matrix, another one of the dinkies in there. And we'll pop the Matrix down here. I quite like that. One down there. I don't know whether it's the right way up or not. You can't really read it, so I don't think it matters. We're going to end up covering a lot of this up anyway. And I don't know if you can see here, this has gone a little bit yellowy, because as we're stamping, it's lifting some of the colour out. Can you see? Oh, I think it's up the right way. That's pure accident rather than by design, because I didn't check. No one immediately. Right, okay, thanks Sharon, that's wonderful. So it would be nice to finish this page. There's not that much more to do actually. The fun bit is the gesso will dry on these are the indigo blue paint mats. Gesso will dry on there, so you do want to clean it off. Paints, your acrylic paints will come off, no problem. You don't need to worry about those drying. But gesso, because it's a primer, will dry on your mat, so you do want to clean that off. So that's that done. Okay. So I think that's my background. Happy with it. A few different techniques on there, and there is on my YouTube channel. I have done another journal page with some more techniques. So my idea is that we're going to bring in, I got this scrap lying around from when I used one of the Sentimental Yours Moroccan dies, one of the texture dies, as a stencil. So it's got various colours of metallic paint on there. So I thought that that would fit really nicely over the top. I also have an image that I did years ago. It must be a couple of years ago, maybe 3, from again Indigo Blue. This is the vintage dogwood, and all I've done is stamped and embossed it. And I'm really into black and white images on pages now. I don't think they have to be coloured in, and when you've got a really bright background, I think they're lost if they're coloured in. So I like the pop of colour that you get with the background, but the pop of the image, so if it's in black and white. So like I say, I've stamped and embossed that. It's just stamped in VersaFine Clair, the Nocturne, and then it's got I've probably used the this Indigo Blue superfine embossing glaze, so a fine embossing powder on top. I also found this when I was rooting around. This is one of the Sentimental Yours MDF sentiments, and it's been stamped, it's been embossed with black embossing powder, so I think that might be nice on there as well. So I think that would actually complete my page, but I'm thinking it would be nice to do something else with that rather than just have it as the black. So again, when I was on the retreat with Indigo Blue, we got given these two glorious embossing enamels, which are they're the Uties, they're the thick ones, and so I thought we'd add some of that to it and see how that looks. So we'll do that. I mean, obviously we can go texture paste on the background as well if we want to, but we've got a lot of stamping, stencil work, and I'm bringing in this die, so I don't think we need to add any kind of texture paste background to it. I would add some reinforcements on here as well, and the idea is that it's quite nice to write on the back what you've used, so it is really a reference for you to look back, and you know, if you lose your mojo, you can really kind of get it going again with something that you've done in the past. And sometimes you forget your techniques, don't you? So it's nice to come back to them. So let's do something with this. So we've got, actually what we'll do is we'll bring in some flitter glue, because discovered on the retreat that flitter glue grabs the ultra thick embossing enamel a lot better than your VersaFine, because obviously VersaFine is a sticky ink, flitter glue is a glue, so we're going to use that. Why not? Need another doobry. This is a doobry. Please don't search anywhere online for a doobry because you won't find them. These are spatulas. You can talk as much as you want to, Sharon. It's absolutely fine. This is probably, I'm being very, very frugal with my cut and dry foam. This is probably far too small, but so yeah, flitter glue from Indigo Blue. Just clean the nozzle when it's got like a little nipple, so you can just screw it on up and off, and that keeps the glue fresh. I've had this probably 4 or 5 years and it's still absolutely fine to use, so it's not a product that goes off. So we're just going to spread this onto our cut and dry foam. So we've made ourselves a glue ink pad, and we're going to just dab over the top this embellishment, and this should grab our ultra thick. I will need to find another piece of paper. Now when it goes on, it will be blue, and when you can put stuff on it, it is clear. It's very hard to see on black, but we just give it a second or two. Oh, get off. You don't want it on your fingers. If you use gilding flakes, it's going to go all over your fingers. You can also add your Luscious powders or your Radiant Lustre powders from Indigo Blue or Sentimentally Yours to it. They're going to adhere to your flitter glue as well. You can also add your fine glitters to it. You can add your gilding flakes, but we're going to use the embossing enamel when I find another piece of paper. I know I've got some. I've got loads of paper up here somewhere. Bear with. There it is. I know I've got some. Because I can't use the piece of paper I've just used because I've got glitter glue all over it, obviously. Sticky fingers. Keep that for a minute just in case we want to add more. So I think we'll go for the this gold one, which is called Bamberg. And I think actually what we'll do first of all is changing my mind. I think I am going to bring some more black in, just regular black, if I can find it. That's copper. That's that one. Silver. Don't use black embossing powder very often. Ooh, Cosmic Black. Let's have a bit of that, which is the one that's got a bit of glitter in it. So we'll have a mix, I think. I don't know what it looked like. That's a bit of the black. over, I'll knock everything over. And the Bamberg. So Kay's mixed these herself. You can see they're so much chunkier than the other embossing powders. So there's different sizes. There's all sorts of bits and pieces in them. Oh, I quite like that. There's bits that I've probably not got, and then we've got the bits of the Sentimentally Yours one as well. The Cosmic Black. So this is ultra thick. The Cosmic Black isn't. It's just a twinkling embossing powder. So let's pop it on here so it doesn't go everywhere. I must have a pokey tool somewhere. There it is. And we get the heat gun all started so it's nice and hot. Now obviously I haven't tapped this off, so we might get some moving around my desk. Now with the twinkling embossing powder it is possible to overheat it, so I might have made a mistake putting the two things on, but we'll see. With the Glorious, the ultra thick, it has stages to it, so if you only heat it a little bit you get kind of little bubbles. If you keep on heating it then it kind of melts even more and ends up being you know, a nice kind of 3D effect to it. Let's see what we're looking like now. Now obviously it's warm, this is MDF. But hopefully you can, ouch, hot. Hopefully you can see that we've got some sparkly going on here, and then we've got the thicker stuff as well. I don't think I'm going to go again, because you could go again. Either add some more flitter glue to it, or get it all hot, and then you can add some while it's hot. But I think I actually like the mottled effect like that. I think I'm just going to, that's why it's hot. There's a bit on my finger. I'm just going to go with it like that, I think. But you can see you've got a really good solid area there, and you've got some kind of little pitted bits there. If it falls off, then you haven't heated it enough, basically. Right, let's get rid of that, and let's put our page together, and then we'll be done. Bit of gesso on there. Right, let's pop this on here. So we need some glue on, this is where spray glue would be very handy on this, because it's so fine. This is the Moroccan die from Sentimentally Yours. It's an A6 texture die, and it's just something I had left over when I was using the die cut as a stencil. So it's just got a mixture of metallic acrylic paints on it. Obviously this is the reverse. I'm just going to try and get the centre points. Normally you'd anchor it with frames and things like that on your cards, so you wouldn't need to worry about gluing, but on my journal page it's like a feature. Get rid of that glue. Ooh. This is going over here. I told you most of it would be covered up, didn't I? See if I can get it straightish on my line. Give it a good press. And then my vintage dogwood. I need to remember that I'm going to put reinforcements over there, so I don't want to have that too close to the little lines. It's nice to be able to use the, because I'd use these images, I'd cut these images out ages ago, and it's nice to be able to use them actually. Let's pop that there. And there are several flowers in the vintage range from Indigo Blue, and they are some of my favourite Indigo Blue stamps. I do really like flower stamps. I think most of us do, don't we? So I do like that actually. I like how that's turned out. I don't often put MDF on my journal pages, but this is very light. This is only 2mm MDF, so it's not really thick. And again, it's just something that you saw. I'd already embossed it. Goodness knows why I'd embossed it already. Might have been part of another demo. And it's just a shame not to use these things. And I think putting them in your journals is quite a nice thing to do. Because cards just all stack up, don't they? And you don't know what to do with them. I don't. I give mine away to charity because I just don't know what to do with them. Give that a good press. Come on, stick for me. Obviously the glue takes a little bit of time to decide it's going to stick. It's going now, so let's see if I've got any reinforcements I can stick on here. Just to finish it off. I think we're stuck. Oh, I've got those that wrap round. Not got many black ones left in there. See what I've got. I've got EC. These are all my Studio Light ones. These are my ECD ones. I've got some red ones. I wonder if the red one would be quite nice on here. So I only want little ones, really. I'm sure they'll fit. That'd be alright, won't it? I haven't got adhesive on the back though. My Studio Light ones have. Some of these have. But the ones I picked up haven't. It's just typical, isn't it? I need 6. Bear with, bear with. Come here. These little pots were originally for beads years ago, for jewellery, but they're perfect for little die cuts. So I hope you enjoyed this live. I've enjoyed doing it. I do enjoy doing my Facebook lives actually. It's sticking to me. Let's put it on there then. So remember, if your glue touches where, if it oozes out, then your ink's going to react with it. So let's hope it doesn't. It just finishes it off. I don't tend to put them on the back when I'm just writing on the back what I've done. Don't ask me which ECD set this is from. This might be from their set of loads and loads of reinforcements, or it might not be. I don't know what it's from, I can't remember. But it is an ECD reinforcer. But you can see that the ECD reinforcers are going to work on the Studio Light pages as well, which is fab. I'm going to put these down because they're sticking to me. Come on. I do love the way the gesso works with the stencil on the background. I'm happy with that. And the little bit of stamping that's popping out here and there. It's nice when something comes together. One more. And then we've done. And I'll pop photos in the group later on. I'll just quickly colour in the mushrooms after we've finished on my first project. And there we go. So there we go, we've got 2 projects there. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope we've definitely covered quite a lot of brands, which is what the group's about, and hopefully very different techniques across the 2 different pieces there, I think. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. Let's move that down. So now I've got another live in group sometime in June. I can't remember when, but obviously Lou or someone else will pop the schedule up. I don't know if you saw, Lou. I've got a big silver star on the floor in my craft room here. It's just appeared. I'm still finding them. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed that, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and remember, be nice to each other, and I will catch you at some point in June. Thanks so much. Bye.